Vanessa was impossible to ignore. She was bold, beautiful, and spoke like every word carried weight. Ethan met her through Lily, her cousin, during a company event. Lily worked in marketing, quiet but sharp, the opposite of Vanessa. That night, Vanessa stood under soft lights, holding a glass of wine. She smiled at everyone like she already knew their secrets. Ethan watched her talk about travel, art, and clients with easy charm. He felt small beside her, yet fascinated. When she finally looked his way, her green eyes lingered longer than polite. "You're the tech guy, right?" she asked, playful but assessing. He nodded, awkward and amused by her confidence. She laughed softly, said she liked people who built things from logic. That laugh stayed in his mind for days. They started texting after that night. Vanessa always had stories: flights to Portland, marketing disasters, rooftop dinners. Her life seemed loud and fast, everything Ethan's was. He found her energy addictive. Their first date was at a wine bar she chose. She ordered for both of them without asking. He didn't mind. She made decisions like she was born for it. She talked for hours, about trends, people, ambition. Ethan mostly listened, amazed by how alive she seemed. When she touched his arm, it felt like electricity. Vanessa made him believe his quiet life needed her chaos. Soon, dinners became a routine. She picked places with tasting menus and glowing reviews. Ethan paid, smiled, and told himself it was worth it. He wanted to impress her, even when it meant stepping out of comfort. She started staying over at his house. She'd move things around, rearrange his living room, complain about his couch. "This feels like a college apartment," she teased. Ethan laughed, but part of him wondered if she was right. She suggested new furniture, better lighting, something with character. He bought a new coffee table, just to make her happy. Lily noticed the changes at work. She joked that Vanessa had turned his place into a magazine ad. Ethan brushed it off, saying it was good to evolve. But Lily's eyes showed quiet concern. She'd seen Vanessa's type before, people who loved the thrill, not the roots. Still, Ethan ignored it. When Vanessa held his hand in public, everything else disappeared. Her perfume lingered in his car. Her laughter filled his weekends. He started skipping hikes with Ryan, skipping coding projects, skipping peace. Vanessa wanted more, always more. Better restaurants, better wine, better clothes. Ethan didn't realize how much he was spending to keep her interested. He told himself it was love, not calculation. When she smiled at him across candlelight, he believed it. He didn't see the warning signs, the way her eyes lingered on expensive things. He only saw what he wanted: someone bright, alive, and impossibly out of his reach. And for a while, that illusion was enough. The cracks started small. Vanessa began commenting on little things. His car was cute, she said, like a compliment wrapped in pity. His grocery choices made her laugh. "You still buy store brands? That's adorable." Ethan smiled, pretending it didn't sting. He told himself she just had higher standards. Maybe she could teach him to enjoy better things. But her words slowly chipped away at his confidence. Every dinner became a comparison to somewhere fancier. Every weekend had to be an experience, not rest. She filled his quiet home with noise and demands. "You work too much," she'd say, scrolling through her phone. "Life's not just about saving money." He tried to explain that he liked stability. She rolled her eyes, saying stability was just another word for boring. Lily noticed the change in him. At work, he seemed distracted, tired, softer around the edges. She asked one day, "Are you happy, Ethan?" He laughed it off, said relationships were work. But that night, he lay awake, wondering if work was supposed to hurt. Vanessa kept introducing him to her friends. They were all polished, loud, obsessed with luxury. At brunch, they'd talk about handbags, vacations, and boyfriends who knew their worth. Ethan sat there, sipping overpriced mimosas, feeling like a tourist. He missed his old weekends, coding, hiking, peace. Still, he stayed. When Vanessa smiled, it felt like a reward. When she frowned, it felt like failure. She began talking about our future, though her vision was one-sided. She dreamed of big houses, designer furniture, and European summers. Ethan dreamed of a small yard, laughter, and quiet mornings. Their worlds didn't match, but he kept trying to fit. He worked overtime, bought her gifts she didn't notice. She'd post pictures online, tagging restaurants but not him. He was invisible in her stories. Lily saw the pattern clearly. One evening after a long day, she found him in the office kitchen. "You're losing pieces of yourself," she said softly. He smiled, pretending not to understand. But deep down, he did. Vanessa wasn't cruel. She was careless. She didn't see the damage her words caused. She wanted perfection, and Ethan kept offering reality. He tried to talk about it once, but she brushed him off. "Don't be so sensitive," she said. "You should thank me for pushing you." That night, he cooked dinner, waiting for her. She arrived late, dressed like she'd been somewhere better. She looked at the meal he made and sighed. "You really shouldn't use paper napkins, Ethan." He laughed quietly, realizing the distance between them wasn't physical anymore. It was in every word, every pause, every expectation. He still loved her, but the version of her he loved no longer existed. And the version of himself she wanted would never be enough. Ethan wanted to make things right. He planned Vanessa's birthday for weeks. He booked a weekend in Aspen, her favorite kind of luxury. The hotel had mountain views and a fireplace suite. He made dinner reservations at a restaurant she'd mentioned once. He even rented a car nicer than his own, just to impress her. It cost him more than he could comfortably spend. But he told himself love was worth investment. When he revealed the plan, Vanessa smiled thinly. "That's sweet," she said, like a teacher praising a child. He ignored the tone and focused on her words. On the drive to Aspen, she scrolled her phone most of the way. She talked about friends who got engaged in Paris or Greece. Ethan listened, nodding, pretending the mountain silence didn't sting. When they arrived, she inspected the room like a critic. "It's nice," she said, "but the photos made it look bigger." He opened champagne, trying to lighten the mood. She took a few pictures for Instagram and changed the lighting twice. That night, they had dinner at the expensive restaurant. Ethan thought it was perfect, quiet, elegant, romantic. Vanessa thought otherwise. She compared the meal to one she'd had in Boulder. She mentioned her ex, who once booked a trip to Switzerland. Ethan tried to smile. But the knife twisted deeper with every word. He'd spent days planning, yet it still wasn't enough. Later, in the hotel room, she scrolled through photos again. Her phone glowed brighter than the fireplace. He asked, "Are you happy, Vanessa?" She looked up distracted. "Sure, why wouldn't I be?" He nodded, though her voice already told the truth. The next morning, he suggested a scenic drive through the mountains. She sighed but agreed. For 2 hours, they sat in silence while the world outside glowed golden. He tried to talk about the future, about saving for a house. She laughed softly. "You mean a normal house, not a dream house." Ethan smiled weakly. "A house we can afford." She turned to the window, saying nothing. He realized then that affordability wasn't part of her dream. That night, he texted Lily. He told her the trip wasn't going as planned. She replied quickly, "You did your best, Ethan. Some people just can't see it." Her kindness hurt more than Vanessa's indifference. When they returned home, Vanessa unpacked without a word. She left the souvenirs on the counter, untouched. He stared at the empty space between them and knew something had shifted. She still smiled for pictures, still kissed him in public. But behind closed doors, warmth had turned to obligation. Ethan tried to hold on, but his grip only burned. He started to understand that love wasn't supposed to feel like a performance. It was supposed to feel like peace, and peace was the one thing he'd lost. Ethan decided it was time to move forward. He spent weeks saving, researching, and choosing the perfect ring. Not the biggest, but beautiful, classic, and meaningful. He wanted the proposal to prove his love was real, not measured in carats. He planned everything at Vanessa's favorite restaurant downtown. The kind with white tablecloths, dim lights, and wine lists thicker than books. He rehearsed his words in the mirror that morning. He wanted it to be perfect, even if nothing else between them was. When he arrived, Vanessa was already seated with her two friends. Maddie and Chloe, both polished, loud, and ready to judge. He hadn't expected them to be there. Vanessa smiled, said casually, "They were nearby, hope you don't mind." He did, but he stayed quiet. Dinner started with laughter that wasn't his. They talked about luxury handbags and boyfriends who understood value. Ethan sat there, waiting for the right moment. Every joke felt like a warning he ignored. When Maddie mentioned a friend's $20,000 ring, Vanessa nodded. "It's not about price," she said. "It's about effort. A ring reflects love." Ethan's stomach tightened, the ring box heavy in his jacket. He excused himself, walked outside to breathe, and came back trembling. Vanessa was mid-story, about someone's Paris engagement. He stopped beside her, heart racing, and took a deep breath. "Vanessa," he said, voice steady but shaking inside. "These 2 years have meant everything to me. You've changed my world." He got down on one knee as the restaurant fell silent. People turned, phones lifted, the spotlight invisible but real. He opened the box, and the diamond caught the light perfectly. "Will you marry me?" he asked, every word fragile with hope. Vanessa stared for too long. Her friends leaned forward, their smiles freezing midair. Finally, she said, "Oh," just that small, empty, cruel. Ethan's heart stuttered. "Is that a yes?" She glanced around, saw the audience, and forced a smile. "Yes, of course," she said, voice hollow as glass. Applause followed, polite but uneasy. Ethan sat back down, hands still shaking, trying to breathe. Vanessa kept staring at the ring like it had insulted her. Maddie whispered something. Chloe tried not to laugh. Then, out of nowhere, Vanessa said it, quiet but sharp enough to kill. "I only said yes because I felt bad for him. Look at this ring, it's pathetic." The air vanished. Forks froze, glasses stopped midair, whispers spread like fire. Ethan blinked, thinking he misheard. But Vanessa kept talking, her voice louder now, fueled by wine. "You drive a basic car. You live like a student. I deserve more than this." Every word cut through him, clean and deep. She smiled bitterly, still unaware of the wreckage she was creating. Ethan stood slowly, heart numb but eyes steady. "You know what, Vanessa?" he said softly. "No worries. I only proposed because I felt bad for you too." The restaurant gasped. He reached for the ring, slid it off her shaking hand, and pocketed it. Then he turned and walked away, leaving her in silence surrounded by applause. Ethan walked toward the exit, heartbeat roaring in his ears. The entire restaurant had gone silent behind him. Every step felt heavy, like walking out of a dream that finally broke. He just wanted to breathe, to disappear, to erase the last 10 minutes. Then he saw her. Lily was sitting at the bar, eyes wide, frozen halfway through a drink. She had seen everything. When their eyes met, she stood quickly, her face full of concern. "Ethan," she said softly, "are you okay?" He laughed once, sharp and tired. "Not really." She hesitated, then stepped closer. "She had no right to humiliate you." He opened his jacket, pulling out the small box again. His mind was a storm, but his heart felt oddly clear. "Lily," he said, his voice trembling, "I have a crazy question." Her eyebrows lifted. "What?" He knelt again, right there by the bar, the room still watching. "You've always seen me," he said. "You listen, you care, you make me feel enough." He opened the box, the diamond still gleaming faintly under the lights. "I know this is insane, but will you marry me?" For a second, Lily just stared, shocked into silence. Then she started laughing, a bright, warm sound that broke the tension. "Are you completely out of your mind?" she asked. "Probably," he said, smiling for the first time that night. She looked down at him, still laughing through tears. "Then yes," she said simply. "Absolutely yes." Applause erupted from the bar area. Someone whistled, someone clapped louder. It wasn't mockery. It was relief, joy, chaos turning into something beautiful. Ethan slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly, like it had been waiting for her all along. Lily looked at it, shaking her head, half in disbelief, half in happiness. "This is insane," she whispered, "but it feels right." Ethan laughed softly, realizing the room was cheering. Behind them, a familiar voice cut through the noise. "What the hell is happening?" Vanessa's words were sharp, trembling with fury. She stood at their old table, red-faced, eyes blazing. Maddie and Chloe tried to calm her down, but she shoved their hands away. "You just proposed to my cousin," she screamed. Ethan turned, calm now, almost serene. "Former fiancé," he corrected. Lily faced her too, her expression steady but sad. "Vanessa, you said he wasn't good enough for you, so why does it matter?" "Because this is crazy," Vanessa shouted. "You don't even know him like I do." Lily took Ethan's hand and smiled. "I know enough," she said. "I know he's kind, patient, and real." Vanessa's anger cracked, desperation bleeding through. "Ethan, we can fix this, please." He shook his head gently. "You can't fix what was never real." The manager approached awkwardly, asking them to keep it calm. Lily nodded politely, then turned to Ethan. "Let's go get coffee," she said, squeezing his hand. They walked out together, leaving behind gasps, whispers, and the sound of a love story reborn from the ashes. The weeks after that night were chaos. News of what happened spread faster than Ethan expected. Vanessa told her version first, painting herself as the victim. She said Ethan had lost control and embarrassed her in public. She never mentioned the insults, the pity, or the cruelty. But truth has a way of finding its voice. Maddie and Chloe stopped answering her calls. They had seen everything and couldn't defend her anymore. Rumors shifted, sympathy faded, and silence replaced her outrage. Ethan tried not to think about it. He spent his days coding, his nights walking aimlessly with music in his ears. Lily stayed by his side, calm and steady. They met for coffee, not dates, just quiet moments to breathe. They laughed at small things, healed through simple kindness. No grand gestures, no pretending, just peace. After a few weeks, they admitted it felt right. Lily confessed she had always cared more than she should have. "I thought you'd never see me," she said, smiling softly. Ethan looked at her and realized he finally did. What he once mistook for excitement with Vanessa had been noise. What he felt now was quiet certainty. They started dating officially, slowly, carefully. Their first real date wasn't fancy. It was a walk by the lake. Lily brought sandwiches, Ethan brought coffee. They talked about life, work, and how strange love can be. He told her he was afraid of being someone's second choice. She told him he'd always been her first. That night, for the first time in months, he slept without replaying old words. Time moved fast after that. Vanessa faded from conversation, just another story people stopped telling. Ethan and Lily grew closer, finding comfort in ordinary days. They cooked dinner together, argued about seasoning, and laughed mid-fight. She learned to like his budgeting spreadsheets. He learned to enjoy her impulsive weekend plans. It was balance, the kind neither had known before. A year later, they married quietly in a garden surrounded by friends. No spotlight, no audience, just vows spoken in peace. Ryan, his best friend, gave the toast and called it poetic justice. Ethan just smiled, holding Lily's hand, grateful for the wreck that led him here. 10 months later, they were expecting their first child. Lily glowed, her laughter filling the house that once felt too quiet. Ethan built a crib himself, sanding every edge smooth. He thought about how far he'd come from that night. Sometimes, he still saw the restaurant in his dreams. The noise, the silence, the applause. But now it ended differently, always with Lily's hand in his. He learned that love isn't about diamonds or drama. It's about showing up, staying kind, and choosing each other every day. Sometimes the best revenge isn't anger. It's happiness. And sometimes, the right yes only comes after the wrong one teaches you what love really means. The house was quiet, warm, and full of soft light. Lily sat by the window, reading baby name lists out loud. Ethan listened, smiling, pretending to focus on the newspaper. Outside, rain tapped gently against the glass. He thought about the past, about the night that changed everything. The humiliation, the chaos, the unexpected twist of fate. It felt like another lifetime, like someone else's story. Now, peace had replaced noise, love had replaced pride. He walked over, placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. She looked up, eyes bright, belly round with new life. "You ever think about how it all started?" she asked. "Every day," he said softly, "and I'm thankful for it." She laughed, "Even the crazy part." "Especially the crazy part," he said. They stayed there in silence, the kind that feels full, not empty. Sometimes pain builds the road to where you belong. Sometimes losing what you wanted gives you what you need. Ethan kissed her forehead and whispered, "We're lucky." Lily smiled, closing her eyes. And for the first time, everything truly felt right.